Tulsi Gabbard goes scorched earth on the FBI and the deep state, declaring that there is now no turning back. We're going to see what Tulsi has to say. We're going to look at the massive populist revolt against the permanent political class that's forming as we speak. And make sure to stick with the very end of this video when I'll reveal why Donald Trump is coming out of all of this stronger than ever. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, patriots all across the globe. It's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, helping to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. If you haven't done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And gang, I need to give you all a huge shout out from our good friends over at Old Country Soap. Apparently you've been ringing their phones off the hook. I introduced you some weeks back to this amazing South Dakota company that uses traditional Amish techniques and locally sourced ingredients to make the best natural soaps out there. Every bar of Old Country Soap includes pure and unfiltered bentonite clay, which works wonders. I mean, it helps to soothe and relieve dry and sensitive skin. It's known for its healing properties to help with psoriasis and eczema. I mean, it's amazing stuff, gang. You've got to try this soap out. Just the pure natural scent alone is unbelievable. Click on that link below right now. For a limited time, you're going to get an exclusive discount if you use my promo code Turley, and they're even going to throw in a free shower-enhancing exfoliation soap bag with every purchase. So don't wait. Click on that link below or visit oldcountrysoap.com. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Take it away, Tulsi.
Now, whatever your views are on Donald Trump, there's no denying that the unprecedented raid on his Palm Beach home earlier this week has set our country on a dangerous new course, and there's no turning back. The FBI's raid on Mar-a-Lago changed the country that we grew up in. We grew up believing that, hey, our government will apply the law equally to all Americans, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. We're seeing more and more that that country no longer exists. Law enforcement at the highest levels of government, whether it's the DOJ, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and now even the IRS, have been weaponized to target the political opponents of the Uniparty, the permanent Washington, and the Biden regime.
All right, so you can see the setup here, and I think she's absolutely right. More and more pundits are recognizing that the real political animus today, the new political divide, is no longer a partisan divide between Democrats and Republicans or the left versus the right. Hence why Tulsi, a Democrat, is hosting Tucker Carlson's show there as a guest host. It's no longer an ideological divide between liberals versus conservatives. The new divide is a divide between the political class versus the people. The rulers versus the ruled, the oligarchs versus the ordinary American. In many respects, it's a class division where the values, interests, and concerns of the people are growing increasingly alienated from the values, interests, and concerns of the elite and exclusive managerial class of political, economic, and media oligarchs, what Tulsi calls the Uniparty. And the key here is that alienation is forcing the managerial class to enforce their values, interests, and concerns through coercive means, since the people are increasingly rebelling against their rule through the ballot box. And so the more the distance between the people and the permanent political class opens up, the more the political class has to rely on coercion as a means of maintaining their political power. And so what we're seeing more and more of is the overt and explicit weaponization of that political power against those now deemed a threat to the Uniparty's rule. Again, what's essential to get here, especially in view of Tulsi guest hosting Tucker's show, the old divides between left versus right or Republican versus Democrat really are imploding in light of a new political enemy that threatens both the left and the right. And that, of course, is the permanent political class that rule according to their own values, interests, and concerns at the expense of the values, interests, and concerns of the people.
Attorney General Merrick Garland has already issued a stark warning to anyone who dares to disagree with these tactics that are all hallmarks of a dictatorship.
Let me address recent unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department agents and prosecutors. I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked.
So you are not allowed to disagree with the FBI. That is the new message.
All right, so that's brilliant. It's brilliant because that is exactly what this borderline illiterate Merrick Garland said, that he will not stand by and allow the integrity of the FBI to be challenged. But of course, that dismisses the question, what if there are serious irregularities in the FBI that ought to be challenged? For example, someone like the renowned classical scholar Victor Davis Hanson, who would be hard to prosecute for unbridled irrationality, has written a piece documenting numerous examples of what he calls the FBI's asymmetrical application of the law. He and many others would like to know why the FBI has taken the unprecedented measure of raiding a former president's home, supposedly to retrieve classified documents, when in 2016, the then FBI Director James Comey refused to prosecute Hillary Clinton, even after admitting that she was guilty of destroying classified and subpoenaed emails. Why did the FBI target Project Veritas in a raid to retrieve the diary of Ashley Biden, Joe's wayward daughter, when they never pursued Hunter Biden's fraudulently registered firearm, his mysterious foreign income, his felonious crack cocaine use, or his regular employment of foreign prostitutes? Why is it that the FBI has publicly targeted Trump's advisors like Peter Navarro, Rudy Giuliani, Roger Stone, yet terrorists and cartels walk with impunity across the open border? We could go on and on. Why is it that no one at the FBI will face any repercussions for knowingly lying to a FISA court about a fabricated dossier in order to obtain a surveillance warrant? Or how it used a Russian collusion hoax to destroy Trump's national security advisor designate, General Michael Flynn? You see, tone-deaf threats from a fledgling attorney general like Merrick Garland, they're not going to make these irregularities disappear. So once again, you see the pattern here. The more the people push back against the permanent political class, the more that class has to rely on intimidation and coercion as a means of enforcing its values, interests, and concerns. And no one pushes those elite values, interests, and concerns more faithfully than the corporate oligarchs who run our lamestream media. Check that out.
The security state will label you an extremist for daring to challenge or disagree with the regime's weaponization of law enforcement.
They talk about defending the blue. They talk about defending law enforcement officers. They fly the flags. They put on the bumper stickers. And yet, if it doesn't suit their political purposes, then they remain silent or even attack law enforcement officers. The senator talked about the FBI's attack on our constitutional republic. Another Republican senator accused them of being a third world Marxist dictators. And yet, the silence is deafening.
These guys aren't Republicans, Joe. These guys are extremists.
Now, that was Joe Scarborough of MSNBC, demonstrating for everyone to see a basic logical category error. What Scarborough fails to note there is that patriots, generally speaking, support local law enforcement like sheriffs and police departments while decrying the asymmetrical weaponization law among federal law enforcement. There is no inconsistency whatsoever between supporting the local while denouncing the federal. Historically, they were called anti-federalists. Philosophically, it's known as the principle of subsidiarity, the notion that the political is best deliberated and resolved at local rather than federal levels. Now, keep in mind, Scarborough was himself in government. He was an elected representative. Gang, he knows this. He knows this basic categorical distinction between the local and the federal. He's used it before. He also knows that the same people at MSNBC who have been vociferously advocating defunding the police are suddenly now the most rabid fans supporting the FBI. He knows all of this. And yet he threw out to his dwindling viewers all of that utter and total bullshit. Again, this harkens back to something that the journalist Glenn Greenwald recently observed. He noted that as far as the left is concerned, it is always okay to lie, just as long as those lies disparage your political opponents. Greenwald spent years in legacy media, and he found out rather quickly that the legacy media outlets, they know that their audience is overwhelmingly left-wing, And they found out that their left-wing audience don't mind the media lying as long as such lies disparage and demean their political adversaries. They want the lies publicized and disseminated among the wider population. And that is exactly what Joe Scarborough and his ridiculous guest are doing. So this is why the legacy media, comprised of left-wing activists disguised as journalists, are complicit with the FBI and the Democrat deep state, because they want to together bring down any and all threats to the permanent political class. Now, after that clip, Tulsi brought on Will Kane, the co-host for Fox and Friends Weekend, and he summed up what we're seeing here beautifully.
Is this the United States of America now, where our Attorney General, the Attorney General of the United States, the top law enforcement official in this country, is saying you are not allowed to disagree as an American?
It's the United States of America, Tulsi. It's something you and I both still love and will fight to preserve. But it's the United States of America sitting on a very fragile piece of thin ice. And it's because the American people have lost faith in their institutions. Rightfully skeptical, the American people now worry that every aspect of not just our culture, but our government has been completely and utterly politicized. Hey, Tulsi, I began the week on Monday, and you are finishing our week out on Friday. And I want to say this, if I might. It's important that we look at the details, the trees. We look at the warrant. We understand the issue, but we can't lose the forest. And the forest is this, that this has nothing to do with classified documents. This simply has nothing to do with the retention of documents at Mar-a-Lago. This is about, as you mentioned, permanent washing, ensuring that Donald Trump is never again president of the United States. And I know that, Tulsi, if I may say, through two things: inconsistency and consistency. The inconsistency is the application of our law. The FBI is not interested in Hunter Biden. It's not interested in Hillary Clinton. It's not interested in Eric Swalwell. It's not interested in applying the law uniformly. On the other hand, the consistency is that for 6 years, Tulsi, whether or not it was Russia collusion or the Steele dossier or President Trump grabbing the steering wheel of the beast, or it was Hunter Biden's laptop, the consistency is it's been a constant attack on the presidency and the campaign of Donald Trump and the protection of permanent Washington. This is what the American people can now see.
It really is fascinating what this raid has done, along with all the other shenanigans that the FBI and the Democratic deep state have tried to pull off over the last 6 years. It has only confirmed for more and more people that Trump is the real deal. He really is the one candidate who's devoted to draining the swamp and dismantling the administrative state. In other words, this raid has only made Trump stronger. No matter what they do to him, he just keeps getting stronger. And there's a logic to that. That's the beauty of populism. The more the permanent political class tries to destroy populist movements, the more they corroborate populist concerns. The more the deep state tries to thwart populism, the more they validate populist sentiments. There's no winning here for the deep state. The only thing they could have done was to try to prevent populist sentiments from rising in the first place. But they failed. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. And the more they try, the more powerful the genie becomes. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and you will definitely want to check out my latest video on how Trump is winning. He is winning bigly as the FBI warrant bombs. You're going to absolutely love it, so make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.